I'm here today with Gabby Tozer, whose new book, Can't Say It Went to Plan, was released on the 5th of May. Hi, Gabby. Just wanted
Hey.
to start with what would you, for people who haven't read it, what is Can't Say It Went to Plan about?
So, Can't Say It Went to Plan is a young adult coming of age story that all goes down in a week, set up at schoolies, which is a bit of a fun week that you do at the end of year 12 once your exams are all wrapped up. And this story in particular follows three strangers who have just finished their exams and are basically up for the week of their life that they'll never forget for very different reasons. So they don't know each other, but their stories become a little overlapped, and it becomes a special summer they'll never forget.
Yeah, excellent. And so, yes, you wrote the story with 3 points of view. So you've got Samira, Zoe, and Dahlia are the three characters that we follow over the course of the story. And to me, when I was reading, I was thinking, oh, this feels like three stories in one. Surely it's just simpler to write it from one point of view. Did you actually have to write three books kind of thing when you're writing those 3 points of view?
Oh, I love that you asked this. It was the book that I planned out from the start.
Hmm.
Um, there was a very particular reason why I didn't write it from just one point of view, though, and that was because schoolies is such a big, um, wide-ranging experience that I thought if I just wrote it from one person's perspective, it's just giving this very like limited idea of what it's like. So I specifically wanted to do three to kind of show all the options. But then in terms of actually writing it, like you said, I really broke it down, which made it a quite fun writing process because on those days when you're not sure what you feel like writing or if you're up for it, you could really choose whose head do I feel like being inside today? Do I feel like writing a kissing scene, a party scene, a sad scene, that type of thing, because I had planned it out so extensively. And as I mentioned, the story goes down over this week and there's a bit of a ticking clock aspect to it. So I really had to keep track of who was where, doing what. Sometimes I'm writing scenes that take place at 2 a.m. and then I need to write one that takes place at 2:31 a.m. in someone else's storyline. And so I had spreadsheets, I had post-it notes, I had index cards. But it was actually a really enjoyable writing experience because, like I mentioned, being able to dip in and out of different
Yeah.
personalities, depending on my mood, which is forever shifting, was quite handy.
Yeah, excellent. Because that was actually going to be my next question was sort of how do you write a book differently when there's multiple points of view? Because the intern was written just from one Josie's point of view, but this is multiple points of view, and your other book, Remind Me How This Ends, was also written from 2 points of view, but this was three. So you're sort of upping the ante, making it even more complicated. So do you write differently when you're writing multiple points of view?
I think I write differently with every book that I write, no matter whether it's point of view or how it's formatted. Or I try to, it's one of those jobs that in some ways gets easier because you've picked up all these new skills and tools along the way to use in your next book, but you tend to choose something to challenge yourself with each book. So as you mentioned, over the years I have kind of tried and experimented with new things. So this was my first time doing three. And the biggest thing I was mindful of when I first had the idea and started mapping it out was the fact that in this book, it's from the perspective of three girls, as opposed to Remind Me How This Ends, which was a boy and a girl. So there was already that kind of significant difference in how they might be talking. I was really worried with this one that they'd all end up sounding the same or their stories would be too similar, which is why I planned it out so much. I wanted to make sure they were from different worlds, had different flaws, different loves, different goals, all that
Mm.
kind of thing. And I do a lot of my cleaning up in self-editing, like after I get the first draft done. So with every time I would do a draft, I would dissect each person's storyline to make sure that what they're trying to achieve or what they're afraid of or what their obstacle is, that type of stuff, is just massively different in each one. I didn't want three people that were necessarily like nervous about the week, or 3 people that were just wanting to party the whole time. So I wanted to make sure the girls read really differently, and hopefully I did that.